A very good morning, Honorable Mayor of Kota, Madam Deputy Mayor, the Chairman, dignitaries on the dais, distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen. It gives me an immense pleasure to be in this very historical and beautiful city of Rajasthan for a conference called the Smart City. In the outset, let me congratulate the Mayor and the people of Kota for being selected as one of the smart cities in India. I must also applaud the Honorable Prime Minister of India for this very creative thinking to declare smart cities in India, to encourage and to create further development and competitiveness between the cities around India. Not only for development, but to integrate people of the country. And of course, ultimately to make cities more citizen-friendly and more sustainable. Ladies and gentlemen, let me shed briefly a light on our country's relationship, meaning Afghanistan and India. As you all know, this is a civilizational and old relationship that rarely exists between countries around the world. It is beyond governments and, more importantly, founded on a shared and historical values between our two great peoples. One of the examples of the shared values very much are reflected in the very capital that we are gathering today. As you know, Afghanistan and India's shared values go beyond the contemporary era. It's as old as civilizations in this part of the world, rather sharing a very common civilization. The biggest value that we have shared with one another is Buddhism taking roots in Afghanistan, going all the way from India, and Sufism, which has taken roots in Ajmer Sharif, part of this state of India, coming from Afghanistan. This is an example how shared our values are, how deep our relationship has been all along. In the contemporary era, our relationship has been tied up under the strategic partnership agreement that Afghanistan and India signed in 2011. This strategic partnership agreement brings our countries, our governments together to develop together, to prosper together, and to grow together. And that partnership agreement is a comprehensive agreement which enshrines areas of cooperation from political to economic to development to security to education to culture and etc. And this very capital, as I said earlier, reminds me of the Afghan parliament, new parliament building, which was established just a year ago, opened by the Honorable Prime Minister of India, with marbles from Marwana of this, again, state of India. Rajasthan marbles makes our parliament building in Afghanistan much more colorful and much more beautiful. Overall, India remains an integral part of Afghanistan's progress in the last 15 years. In terms of our development, our reconstruction, our education, our culture, our technology, and so on. And I'm very hopeful that this conference here, under the auspices of the Smart Cities mission, will create further avenue and further strengthen our two countries' developmental effort. I understand that this initiative is more for the cities of India to integrate, to prosper together, and to create competitiveness. But I would rather suggest that this Smart Cities mission go beyond India, go beyond the boundaries of India and tie up with countries in this part of the world and beyond, in order to share best practices, to share challenges, and to find shared solutions. After all, we have common problems, and we have to find sustainable and common solutions to our problems. In this context, 3 years ago, I proposed the concept of sister-city relationships between the cities of Afghanistan and the cities of India. In 2013, I began this mission, and it goes on. And that brings me also here to the city of Kota. I'll give you a few examples of the smart cities or the sister-city relationship that I have proposed to the government of India, which began from the city of Delhi to the city of Kabul, which is our capital. The MU has been shared, and that sister-city relationship will include areas of cooperation from education to health, to science, to technology, to tourism and culture. Other than that, we have proposed the city of Kandahar with Mumbai, Jalalabad province of Afghanistan with Hyderabad, and Ajmer Sharif, when I was visiting 2 years ago, and I met the Honorable Chief Minister at that time, given the shared cultural values, which I earlier referred to, that Ajmer Sharif and the Sufism vision that was rooted in India came from Afghanistan, that came from the Herat province of Afghanistan. And therefore, I had proposed at that time the sister-city relationship between Ajmer Sharif and Herat city of Afghanistan, which is, by the way, a very progressive province of Afghanistan in all respects. And today I would propose that we further expand that city relationship and include Kota as well. Similarly, thank you. Similarly, the Kunar province of Afghanistan with Gujarat, the Assam state of India with Helmand province of Afghanistan, and of course beyond this region, as I was saying earlier, that we should not only be exploring partnerships among our two countries, but also beyond, based on the shared values and commonalities that we have between our peoples in our cities. And therefore, I had proposed, while representing Afghanistan to Nepal as well, Bamen province of Afghanistan with Nepal, Kathmandu, based on the shared Buddhism values that we have, and host province of Afghanistan with Madhya Pradesh of India. So, in a nutshell, that we have to try to expand our relationships in order to learn from one another, in order to develop equally. After all, it is about win-win. Ultimately, if we want to prosper as a region together, it can only happen if we collaborate with one another. And of course, based on the relationships, especially the kind of relationship that Afghanistan and India has, which is deep, which is forward-looking, and which is very historical as well. So we have to explore further opportunities how we can prosper together and develop together. We should also think of international development partnerships, not only bilateral. You all know Afghanistan has strategic partnership agreements around the world. Some of them are strategic, and some of them are lower level relationship that we call it partnership agreement that we have with other countries. But some partnership agreements are strategic. You have also might heard recently that India and Afghanistan, in collaboration with the US, with the United States, will also be partnering in development field in Afghanistan particularly. And of course, that also includes areas of cooperation that we will be together doing in this region. The US new strategy for South Asia and Afghanistan includes India's collaboration on Afghanistan in the economic and development area. And we will soon be hosting a major economic summit in Delhi titled The Passage to Prosperity, which will be co-hosted by Afghanistan and India, supported by the government and by the agency called the USAID in Delhi. So we are exploring a number of opportunities, bilateral opportunities, and trilateral and multilateral, because the vision should be to integrate within the region and beyond. And let me give you a briefly overview of Afghanistan's current business opportunities. The business opportunities are available based on our 15 years long journey of development in Afghanistan. And we've made remarkable progress in the last 15 years in various fields. Some of the areas that I would cover as an opportunity in Afghanistan, how those opportunities can be made use of. For example, in the energy sector, Afghanistan has a huge potential in energy production. And we have recently announced hundreds of projects in the energy sector based on the great potential Afghanistan has, and you're welcome to invest in those energy projects in Afghanistan, which ranges from solar to biomass to hydropower and etc. And of course, there are hundreds of Indian companies already investing in Afghanistan based on the long-term vision that we want to develop and prosper together and share practices, best practices with one another. One of the major companies called Sumcam Power System Limited, you may all know, is associated right now with Afghanistan in exploring the energy projects in Afghanistan. And that company is installing communication towers across 17 provinces of Afghanistan out of 34, entirely by the solar energy. And of course, subsectors include opportunities in information technology, finance, insurance, transport, construction, pharmaceuticals, solar energy, water management, ports, skill development, a number of areas that we have right now, because Afghanistan is a post-conflict country, so that it needs reconstruction in each and every field as any other nation would want. So you're most welcome to invest in this virgin market in order to benefit for yourself and also share the benefit of that with the people of Afghanistan. The bilateral trade between Afghanistan and India is going higher and higher. From less than $300 million a few years ago, today it has reached $700 million. The target is in billions, given the potential that we have of trade and investment between the two countries. We recently, as you know, opened the air corridor between our two countries. That is to add to the routes available right now for trade and investment between our two countries. And right now we have connected already the capitals. The cargo is coming almost on a daily basis, taking either commodities from Afghanistan to Delhi or from Delhi to Kabul. And we will soon be expanding that air corridor to the regions of Afghanistan, also to the cities of Afghanistan. For example, the Kandahar city will be connected to Amritsar in the near future, and that will be expanded to other cities of Afghanistan, and certainly would include in the future such vibrant cities like Kota with Afghanistan as well. Because of the fruits, because of the commodities which are so demanded in India, and all of that will be coming through air corridor as well, in addition to the other alternative routes that we have right now. Agriculture, I know Kota and as a whole, Rajasthan is also doing very well in agriculture. Afghanistan's current economic growth is mostly, and almost 40% of that is dependent on agriculture products in Afghanistan. And that is the kind of opportunity that is available in Afghanistan. Producing high quality of fruits like pomegranates, high raisins, pistachios, almonds, grapes, and etc. Health. Earlier it was mentioned that Kota is producing good engineers and doctors. Health is one other area that Afghanistan has a huge potential in it. Currently, because of the lack of health facilities in Afghanistan, annually $300 million are going out of Afghanistan in medical tourism because there are not many health facilities in Afghanistan. This is another area of investment available right now, and most importantly, the investment that comes from India is much more welcome than any other investment around the world because of the friendship, because of the trust that we have in one another. Trust is the most fundamental foundation for any business to do anywhere outside indigenous country like India. So you are going to be, if you are investing in Afghanistan, that is not only for business, typical business, but also more on the foundation that we have long before, a foundation of trust and common future and common benefit in the long run. And of course, investment-wise, we are using $800 million pharmaceuticals annually and taking medicine from other countries. So this is a huge area of investment in Afghanistan currently available. And we've signed 9 different memorandums of understanding with various hospitals in India right now, based on the services health sector for the Afghan patients, as well as developing capacity in Afghanistan in the long run. Education as a whole, this is one important sector in Afghanistan that is so much in demand right now in terms of the quest for education, in terms of the young generation that is so much interested and so much focused on acquiring education in Afghanistan. India, of course, has been a major hub for Afghan students coming from Afghanistan. Today we have around 15,000 students studying in India. That would mean universities and schools available in Afghanistan would mean education more available in Afghanistan rather than them going out of Afghanistan. But we will continue to acquire education as we do internationally, and the concentration will go to India. The population-wise, Afghanistan, 60% of the people below 25 age. This is the potential of a youth in a country like Afghanistan, which will have a large and, of course, a major stake in having education and facilities in Afghanistan under the current circumstances. Mining, I know Rajasthan as a whole is also focusing so much on the mining sector. Afghanistan, with the potential of trillions of US dollars, untapped mineral resources currently we have. A huge common investment which can be exploited between Afghanistan and Rajasthan as a whole in terms of the processing, in terms of the extraction of the mining fields in Afghanistan, an area that I very much want to encourage you to invest in the Afghan mining sector. You all know Afghanistan is known for wealth of minerals, hundreds of marbles, hundred types of precious stones. The only thing right now missing is the technical know-how, and that is available in Rajasthan. To take that missionary technical know-how to Afghanistan, is extract the mineral resources and share the wealth that will come out of the mineral resources that we have in Afghanistan. And we definitely want that wealth and that share to be with a country like India, who has invested so much and helped Afghanistan in the last 15 or 16 years. And more importantly, business with Afghanistan means business with the region. Afghanistan is a roundabout of the region. Crossroad of businesses, crossroad of values, crossroad of trade between the whole region. Afghanistan connects Central Asia with South Asia. So doing business in Afghanistan would mean your connectivity to both South Asia and Central Asia. In that context, Afghanistan is engaging with a number of countries, mainly with India, to collaborate on regional initiatives such as the Chabahar port you may have heard of, that Afghanistan and India together are working hard, not only to assist our economies grow, but also assist the economies of the entire region to grow equally. And that can only happen if we have certain connectivity, and Afghanistan and India connectivity will come through Chabahar hopefully very soon, and that will not only be connecting our businesses with one another, but connecting the businesses of the entire region. On security, I know some of the businesses always talk of security. Security will always remain an issue, especially under the current circumstances where no country is immune to security. But it is not as bad as you hear sometimes from the media. Afghanistan is developing. Hundreds of businesses from around the world, hundreds of businesses from India are already in Afghanistan. So please ignore the sensational reporting that sometimes you hear, with all respect to the media, about Afghanistan. It is not as you see it portrayed globally. We have life, we have businesses, we have development coming up, and the sectors that have progressed in the last 15 years are unimaginable. For example, if I give you one example of how business works in Afghanistan, how investments gives dividends to the people who invest in Afghanistan. For example, communication. It was mentioned about technology. It is the 21st century tool to do better, to develop faster than we have done in the past. Technology-wise, Afghanistan in 2001 had only a few thousands of mobile telephones, or not mobile, telephones lines only. Today, in a population of 30 million, we have 20 million mobile users in Afghanistan in just about 15 years. This is the kind of market, this is the kind of demand, and this is the kind of intelligence that you see in the country which can prosper in no time if there is an opportunity to do business together. And of course, a major stake of that also comes from India, where investment came from India in the telecommunication sector. But the industry, the market is huge to be filled and to be completed. Certainly, we have Afghanistan security forces, special units to protect businesses who are invested in Afghanistan. So there is a business-friendly environment, and also special arrangements for businesses who come from outside and invest in Afghanistan. And you will also, in the near future, hear, based on our effort to develop fast, to grow faster, in the near future, Afghanistan and India will announce a new development partnership. That new development partnership will include areas of cooperation, mostly in the economic and in the development fields, which will mean more investment, which will mean more trade between our two countries, which will mean much bigger plans, both at the bilateral level and also at the regional level, to grow faster and to integrate faster in the near future. In terms of business visas, in terms of the visits to Afghanistan, as we are business friendly, at the same time, we have kept our doors open to India for a number of reasons. We hope at a time we will be borderless. We will have no visas between our two countries because of the shared past, because of the shared values, because of the trust that we have in one another. So you will have no issue in terms of the visa that you need for a country like Afghanistan to visit. Doors are open. You apply for a visa, you will have a long-term visa, multiple entry visas for your business to happen in Afghanistan. So before I conclude, I would urge you to do business with Afghanistan and to also partner in development. Like I suggested earlier, that we share our practices. We share the challenge that we see, and we find solutions for both problems that we have in our cities. So I would urge you to invest, and thank you so much for the invitation once again, and have a very productive conference.